everyone. Welcome tonight to the general info session. We are so excited to have you. I hope everyone, first and foremost, is safe and well and doing everything they can to feel okay in these moments. And we hope that this session will give you a little bit of brightness to either your evening, your afternoon, your morning, whatever it is that whatever time it is for you during this time. And so first off, I just want to say my name is Jackie Marthouse. I'm an assistant director of undergraduate admissions here at Northwestern, and I'm also an alum. I graduated with a communications degree and an integrated marketing communication certificate. And now I also have an integrated marketing master's, so I'm a double wildcat. A fun fact about me is I was also a cheerleader, so go Cats. And I am not presenting alone today, so I'd like to introduce you to my co-host now.
Thank you so much for that intro, Jackie. Hi, everyone. My name is Drew Hazen. I am a graduate admissions counselor here at the office. And like Jackie, I'm also a double alum of the university, or almost a double alum. I'm going to be graduating in a few weeks' time, receiving a master's from our School of Communication, hoping to end up working in healthcare. But I graduated as an undergrad with the class of 2018, also from the School of Communication, where I was studying human communication sciences. And I also took classes and received a certificate in our comedy arts module program, meaning that today during our presentation, if Jackie and I throw in a few jokes or a few laughs, those are intentional. We are trying to make this informative, but entertaining as well. So we hope you appreciate that. But that's enough about me. Jackie, why don't you take things from here?
Sure. Thanks, Drew, and thanks for prefacing the jokes that hopefully come. So today, Drew and I are just going to go ahead and take you through our general info session. We're going to cover our academic offerings, our culture and community here on campus, and then I'll go over the application process and the financial aid process. And then afterwards, we're super excited to be able to offer you a live tour. I know you can't visit campus right now, but we do have that premiering tonight at 8 p.m. Central. So stick around afterwards to check out the tour. So just to get started, I would love to hear where everyone's coming from. I know we already kind of dropped that in the chat, but it's always fun to see where you're tuning in from because on campus, typically we have students coming from all over the country and all over the world to check us out and eventually enroll and study at Northwestern. And so that itself lends itself to a lot of different perspectives here on campus, something we're really excited to stress. You're going to have people, again, from all 50 states and over 80 different countries coming together on campus. And that means you're going to hear a lot of different perspectives. It's going to allow itself to give you a lot of diversity to encounter. And that's not only geographically, that's through ethnicity, through your racial background, through your socioeconomic background, through your religious background, and also different interests, different passions. And so all that together is really exciting, I think, for you to encounter during your undergraduate education. And that's a good segue even to what you'll actually end up learning on campus, right? So to kick things off, to start with our academic section, I just want to highlight a little bit of how we even approach academics at Northwestern. So our main baseline is this idea of flexibility. At Northwestern, we want you to be able to study everything and all that you want to study, and we want you to be able to do it your way. So when you take classes at Northwestern, you will have a major. Your intended major is what you want to study. And then you will also be taking classes in electives and required coursework. Electives are anything you want, again. So any fun class that sounds cool, something you want to just try out. And then that required coursework is actually going to be also of your choice. So at Northwestern, we actually allow you to choose your required coursework. For example, our College of Arts and Sciences actually has what we call distribution requirements. Distribution requirements are actually 6 themes or areas of study, and you apply 2 courses each to those 6 themes or areas of study for a total of 12 required courses. And those themes, when you apply 2 courses each, there's a whole list of like 40 classes that apply to those themes. So you're not stuck with just the same 2. So many students can mix and match and try new things within our system. So to recap, you're choosing your major, you're choosing your elective coursework, and you're choosing your required coursework here at Northwestern. But But let's take a step back because I mentioned a college, the College of Arts and Sciences. Here at Northwestern, we have 6 undergraduate schools. And just to name them really quickly, we've got that College of Arts and Sciences, the School of Journalism, the School of Education and Social Policy, the School of Engineering, the School of Music, and the School of Communication. And so there's 6 different schools, but physically and figuratively, there's no boundaries. So you literally can take classes in any of these schools. You can hop around, try new things, switch between them. It's really up to you how you want to engage with our 6-school model. And as Drew and I both are double Wildcats, but Drew's a little bit more recent, so he can definitely speak to how he recently navigated the system and the benefits to it.
Definitely. I think you did a very good job, Jackie, of setting up just how flexible you as a student, how flexible your experience is going to be. For me personally, I finished and graduated taking classes in 5 out of the 6 schools that you mentioned. And I know that that's really common. It's not unheard of to know students take classes in 4 or 5. I know some students who make it a goal to take classes in all 6 of the schools. And like you mentioned, both figuratively and literally, there's just really no boundaries if you're looking to explore or even major across different schools in different areas. It's really nice knowing you have that flexibility as a student, because different students are looking for different things. Some students may come to campus and they may be looking to take a really deep dive into one specific academic area. I know I had a friend named Stephanie who did exactly that. She was a student who came to campus and knew right off the bat that she was going to be an engineer, and that was going to be her path at Northwestern. And so she was able to take a ton of coursework, obviously for her major in engineering, but she was able to take those electives and distribution requirements in areas that related to her interest in engineering. So she got a really focused experience across her time. But that is also not the experience of every student. There's also a lot of students who may be in a period of discovery or exploration when they're looking to figure out their academic interests. If that is any of us listening, know that you are in very good company. Not knowing is actually our most popular major on campus. So if you're still trying to discern kind of what your path may be, there's a lot of tools for you here on campus and a lot of resources as well. I've had friends who have come to campus with a lot of different interests, but have taken the time across their first and second year to really explore all the coursework that we have available. And what they were able to do was declare their majors and minors by the end of their second year on campus. So there's really no rush to do so. And they still graduated on time, completing all their coursework, no problems. And one of the many reasons they were able to do that, besides the flexibility of our quarter system, was because of the support that they received from our faculty as well as our advisors. We do have fully fledged advising staff for any of our academic concentrations. If you pick up another academic concentration, you're also going to be receiving specialized advising for that area. So let's say you are a student interested in biology, you'll have a biology advisor. But if you decide to enroll on the pre-med track as well, for any students interested in pre-medicine, you will also be receiving a pre-med advisor. And then let's say hypothetically you are interested in studying music. From our School of Music, you'd be picking up an advisor specific to that area of music as well. List goes on and on. You can make that scenario however you will, but you're always going to be receiving specialized support for your area of interest. And that doesn't even get into talking about our faculty that we have on campus. There's over 1,200 full-time faculty. Every single one of them, for every class that they teach, is also going to be holding office hours. So it's really nice knowing that with any course that you take, there's always an opportunity for you to go and talk to the professor face-to-face. And they have their doors open. They're looking to talk to those students. For me personally, in my experience, it was a great way for me to connect with my professors outside of the classroom, especially if those classes were a little bit larger. But it's nice knowing that not too many of those courses are going to be larger. About 80% of our classes are going to be only about 20 students or less. So you are going to be able to really make a name for yourself with your professors and also get to know your classmates pretty well. There's only about 2 or 3% of total courses that are offered at Northwestern that are going to be over 100 students. So it's nice knowing that those are far and few between in the grand scheme of the courses that we offer. Having a 6-to-1 student to faculty ratio also supports us when it comes to making sure we have those personal connections between students and faculty. But something that I mentioned a little bit earlier that I want to give Jackie the chance to speak on a little bit is I talked about how much flexibility we have with our academic system, the quarter system. And I'd love for Jackie to explain that a little bit more, just because that's a really important piece of being a Northwestern student.
Sure. Thank you, Drew. I think the quarter system is one of the most exciting pieces of Northwestern you can come here to learn about today. And if you already know what the quarter system is, great job. That's really exciting because there are semester systems out there are trimester systems out there. It's so many different ways to run your academic term. But at Northwestern, we run it on the quarter system. So in case you need a refresher on what that is or a new learning time for you right here with the quarter system. We take the entire year and divide it into 4, 3 of which are your academic term. So fall, winter, spring quarters, you're taking classes, and that 4th quarter is summer. And summer quarter is your time to do what you want with it. So you can take summer classes, but it's by no means required. And it's a time for you maybe to go home, get a job, do an internship, maybe study abroad, maybe do research. It's, again, your quarter to spend as your summer as you see fit. So within the quarter system, I think the key benefit is that you actually get to take more classes on a quarter system than a semester system student would. That meaning that on the quarter system, we take about 4 classes a quarter. Now, if you want to do some quick math with me, I said there are 3 academic terms, right? So 3 times 4 classes a quarter, that's 12 courses in a year. On a semester system, there's 2 semesters, and students typically take about 5 classes a semester. That's about 10 classes a year. So automatically, you have 2 extra classes built in every year for an additional 8, maybe more courses throughout your time at Northwestern. And that's, I think, a key benefit because a lot of you are probably really excited to learn a bunch of different things, but it also allows for you to do things like add a major, add a minor, add a certificate, or again, just take a deep dive into what you're really interested in. So at Northwestern, we actually have over 200 majors, minors, and certificates. So you might know exactly what you want to study, like we've mentioned before. You might come here and start exploring. That's what that quarter system is for. And ultimately, you might end up with a double major, or you might end up with a major and minor, or you might end up with a major, minor, and certificate. There's so many opportunities for you to actually take on what you're interested in, or again, just use that quarter system to your advantage to explore every single class you're interested in. Now, I want to quickly highlight what a certificate is in case you haven't heard of that. You probably or maybe heard of majors and minors. Those are thrown out a lot more, but a certificate is a more specialized area of study and typically less coursework than that major or minor. They're usually only about 5 classes. And again, they're specialized, a little bit more practical, a little bit more hands-on. So for example, we have some in marketing, some in design, certificates in business. Those are, again, a little bit more about that practical approach versus pure academic theory. But I'm getting caught up what happens inside the classroom. Of course, we have opportunities for you to learn beyond the classroom, and I really want to take some time to highlight those now. At Northwestern, we really value innovation. And so if that sounds exciting to you already, maybe you're entrepreneurial, maybe you just like to be forward thinking, maybe you're interested in startups or something of that nature. At Northwestern, we really value this concept and we give you the space to be innovative. Spaces that we do that include our space called the Garage. The Garage is a space on campus that we also did a session on earlier this year. So if you're on our YouTube channel or you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do so you get to catch up on those kinds of sessions because the Garage is super cool. There's a ton of opportunities there to be innovative. And I know I keep saying the Garage, like, are you thinking, is it literally in a garage? Yes, it is. It is in our parking garage. It's a maker space. It's a big collaborative space. It reminds me of what Google headquarters must seem like on a smaller scale. And it's a space for our students to come collaborate, get ideas together about startups or just engineering, design, computer science, humanities, and how that mixes. It's a really cool space on campus. But I also want to take the moment to also consider other ways to be innovative, maybe in a space you wouldn't think, which is research. Here on campus, research is another collaborative, innovative space for you, and it's a space that a lot of our students take advantage of. So if that's something you're interested in, we do have so many options for you to pursue research. And I'm going to go ahead and let Drew kind of take that on as he can further explain it.
Mm. I'd love to share about research because I think it is something that Northwestern really prioritizes as an opportunity for its students and really early on as well. So I was able to get involved in research in an area of interest that I had, and I was able to do it very, very quickly as well. So I started the winter of my first year on campus. So it wasn't like I had to wait till I was an upperclassman to work in any of these labs. I was able to do so in a very quick manner. And that's the case with a lot of other students as well, that they're able to get involved. Part of that involvement is available because the university does financially support research so much. They actually set aside about $3.5 million every single year just to ensure undergraduate research. And so that's not money that's being used by PhD students or master's students. It's just for undergraduates to have opportunities to pursue research in areas of interest to them. And it's so interesting to see what interests people have. One way you can get involved in research is applying for a research grant. A very popular one is the Undergraduate Research Grant, or the URG. That's very popular for students interested in pursuing research over the summer. And what they are doing is continuing to work on a project that they had worked on during the school year. And so I had a friend named Tyler, who was a biomedical engineer at the university, who was working in a research lab over the summer. And what he was doing is he was working in that lab where they use 3D printers to help construct artificial cardiac tissue to construct artificial organs. So that was a really helpful experience for him and a very informative one as well. But I also want to kind of dispel the myth that the only research that happens on college campuses is happening in laboratories while people are wearing white lab coats. That's really not the case. There's lots of non-STEM research that's going to be taking place as well. And a really great example is my friend Sarah, who is was a journalism student on our campus. And she was able to do a really interesting project that was also on the URG. So there are a lot of great opportunities available from that funding. But what she did over the summer is instead of stay and work on a lab or in a lab, what she did is she actually traveled around the New England area and researched the history of ghosts and supernatural occurrences that happened in that region, and then compiled all of that data and actually put together a podcast on their experience. So really exciting opportunity for them to do. And it's just kind of fun to show what opportunities are available thanks to the funding Northwestern has for research. And Sarah's story is a really great example of how students can travel a bit thanks to Northwestern's help. But that travel doesn't have to stay domestic. There's a lot of opportunities for international experiences as well. About half of our students have some sort of international experience across their time on campus, with about a third of our total student population having a typical study abroad experience. What's nice to know about the study abroad opportunities is that there's over 150 different affiliated programs for students to choose from, so lots of options. Any financial aid that you have while here on campus actually travels with you as well and can apply to study abroad costs. And finally, any courses or classwork that you take on or accumulate while you are abroad will travel back and apply towards your degree. So just a lot of great options to make it a very viable choice for any students that are interested in pursuing an international experience. I've had friends who have been abroad, not through study abroad though, as well. So there are other opportunities outside of just your standard study abroad. I had a friend who was a violinist in our School of Music, and her international experience was being a part of an orchestra that did an international tour through the continent of Asia her senior year. That was a great experience for her, and that was kind of her defining international experience. I've had other friends who have worked internships abroad as well. About 2 years ago, I had a friend named Jordan, who's a journalism student who worked with NBC in South Korea, helping cover the Winter Olympics. And so that's a really great opportunity, not just academically, but professionally as well, as we know internships can be. And what's great to know is that Northwestern does have a lot of resources for students to support them if they are looking to secure internships or different professional opportunities. A lot of those resources are going to be in the Northwestern Career Advancement Office, or the NCA. They're very helpful when it comes to seeking those professional connections and kind of starting off on the right foot, whether that's them just reviewing your resume or walking you through a mock interview. They'll also host different job fairs throughout the year, and they have different professional funds set aside for students as well. So whether that's covering costs of travel to get to an interview, maybe you're looking to buy new interview apparel, maybe you are interested in pursuing an unpaid internship. there's something called the Summer Internship Grant Program that will actually help cover the cost of an unpaid internship. So it's there's more opportunities available for students that have internships available to them. The list goes on, but it's really helpful to know that Northwestern does want to prioritize those classroom experiences, but also those out of classroom experiences where you can kind of wrestle with different ideas and then apply them in research or professional settings, whatever that may be. But all those internships are going to be really helpful for you to help secure a job walking across after you walk across the stage at graduation. So that's really helpful information to know. And I'm sure Jackie and I can both attest to this, but the fun doesn't end with Northwestern just when you walk across the stage. It's not like you're saying goodbye and never talking to Northwestern again. There's a really proud tradition with our alumni network that I'd want to have Jackie speak a little bit more to, given her experience with it.
Yeah, absolutely. After you're done with Northwestern, you aren't done. So you're going to join our Northwestern Alum Network for life. And I think that really actually starts when you step on campus. We have a fantastic organization on campus called the Northwestern Alumni Association, and they're here from you for day one to connect you with alum. But what's exciting is once you graduate, you become part of that Purple Mafia, and you can share that Wildcat pride across the world. And our alum are well known, and then we have many more that are just across the world doing exciting things. I just want to name a couple of my favorite well-known alum. We've got George R. R. Martin, who wrote Game of Thrones, Veronica Roth, who wrote the Divergent series. She just came out with a new novel for adults. We have Ginny Rometty, she's the CEO of IBM. And then we also have Meghan Markle, who is the Duchess of Sussex formerly, and now is doing humanitarian work with her husband. But that's just some quick tidbits, fun facts of our alum network. But I think the key here is it's a really great resource for you from the beginning to the end as you navigate your career and connect with these people. They're really here to connect with you. Drew and I are both alums. We love Northwestern, we work there. It's something that you will see throughout our alumni network. And so now I want to take a moment to just kind of switch gears and cover what I think is also really important, our culture and community here on campus. And I'm going to toss that back to Drew to continue that conversation.
Definitely. And I think Jackie would agree with me as I say this, but the community that we have here at Northwestern is a very special one. It's one of the reasons why we've chose to stick around and contribute to it and still be a part of it. I'm sure you may hear that from other institutions as you're in the college search process, but something that really defines Northwestern is the opportunities that our students have and the ways that they can get involved and connect with one another. What's great is that you all will have the opportunity to share in the resource of our virtual tour that's going to be coming out right after this session. So we won't go into too much detail, but know that there are lots of opportunities for students to connect across our campus, whether those are in classic spaces such as residential spaces, or maybe they're in other spaces such as our significant spaces on campus. Those could be more identity-based spaces like our faith-based spaces that we have on campus, the Women's Center, the Black House, the Multicultural Center. They're great opportunities for students of similar backgrounds and identities to connect and learn more about themselves and about one another. That's a really great opportunity for students. There's also countless student groups that are available. We have over 500 different opportunities for student organizations. There's different organizations. I want to say we're past like 600 by now because there's just always so many groups that are starting to form new, because all it takes is you, a group of friends, and a small amount of paperwork to start your own organization. A notable one that comes to mind is a friend of mine, Peter, was very upset to learn when he arrived at campus that there was no ukulele club. And so he was able to start that. And it is a thriving community here at Northwestern. So shout out to the ukulele club and any participants in that. But it's nice knowing that there's so many opportunities for you to explore, whether it's through these predefined spaces or through casual spaces. Plenty of opportunities, but you'll be hearing more about that through our tour that we have available. Something I think is also really exciting about being a Northwestern student that I'd want to hear more from Jackie is the fact that we don't just have our campus as a resource, but we also have the surrounding areas of Evanston and Chicago as well. So would you want to share a little bit more on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So on campus, we've talked about kind of how you build your community here. And again, you'll see more detail in the tour that follows this session. But I do want to highlight two more communities for you, and that is the community of Evanston and the community of Chicago. So we're very lucky to be located in the suburb of Evanston, right along Lake Michigan. Beautiful views all the time, and there's great city shots as well, because you can see Chicago right in the distance. And both offer a lot for our students. Evanston has dining options, a Target, a ton of events all the time. So it's really a great space and resource as a college student. And there's always a ton of coffee shop options for you to study in. But you can also easily engage with Chicago. Our students take the time to explore Chicago, go for a sporting event, go hang out on the beaches downtown, walk around Michigan Avenue, and they can do that in two very easy ways. They can take our shuttle, which runs from our Evanston campus to our Chicago campus for free with your student ID, or you can take the L, which is our public transit system here in Chicago. It's a train system and it runs across the entire city. So our students definitely take advantage of our location. And they use it for classwork, but also for fun. And I think that's something important to also consider when you're looking at your college options. Like, what is there to offer you around the area beyond just campus? So Drew and I have taken the time to go through our academic offerings, our culture and community, and everything else that we can quickly go through to you about campus. But before I take some questions, and again, if you have some, drop them in the chat. I just want to go over the application process in financial aid, and then we'll go ahead and get to your questions. So to start, to apply to Northwestern, you need to apply just on a logistical and online through the common application or the coalition application. Either one is fine. We don't have a preference on which application you use. I just want to highlight that we're going to be looking for the same things across them. And how we actually review applications is holistically. So holistic admissions is what we practice. Holistic meaning that we look at every piece and we put it all together to form your application as a whole. What we're looking for specifically are we're looking at that academic section, that activity section, your essays, and your recommendation letters. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk through what we look at when we go through each of those pieces, and what can hopefully help you as you fill out those applications. So to start, academics, we're looking at your transcripts and your test scores. So transcripts are what your high school will send. It's going to have every course you've been taking in high school. We're going to check out the rigor of that. We really prefer students to have challenged themselves during their high school time. So definitely make sure you're taking advanced coursework if it makes sense for you. Don't overextend yourself, but make sure just naturally take the next step for you all 4 years. I know it's really tempting to take an easy senior year, but use that time to prepare yourself for college. If you're coming to Northwestern, you got to get used to the quarter system. So you want to be able to take some advanced courses to get ready for that. I also want to stress, if you go to a school that doesn't offer advanced coursework like APs or IBs, or if your school, all of it is college level, all of it is rigorous, but maybe they don't label it that way. That's something we will know as admissions directors. So I read applications, I know these high schools, or I get a school profile in your application from your counselor that explains your high school. So I can read your application in context of what is offered and how that affects you. We're just looking at how you function in your environment. We're not looking beyond that. We're not comparing you across. We just want to see how you challenge yourself within that high school. So we're going to look at that, how you performed, which means grades, and then your test scores. Test scores are a little bit more universal, right? There's only ACT or SAT. And so we will take either score, ACT, SAT. You can self-report. We will just need the official score if you're admitted. And we do super score if you want to send in more than one SAT or ACT result. So up to you how you want to add that to your application. But again, we just need at least one of those scores. The next part would be activities. So the activities section is where you're highlighting everything you're involved in. Maybe you volunteer, maybe you're part of a student group, maybe you're part of a sport, maybe you are really involved in your church. There's so many things that count as activities. Maybe you play drums. I say that because my brother plays drums and I hear it often. So those are things to list in your activities sheet and highlight what you've been doing, and make sure to talk about any leadership, recognition, awards, anything that can show you've had growth in that area too, or long-term commitments even, like you've been in it for years. That's really important to highlight. Then the next section would be essays. So your essays are just things that are two essays, and that's going to be in your application. One is the main essay. That is the one you send to all your schools if you fill out the Common App or Coalition App for multiple schools. It's one of 6 prompts you choose. All I ask on that essay is that you show you're an effective writer. We're not looking for a certain way for you to answer it. You can be funny, you can be quirky, you can be straightforward. Do you just make sure it makes sense? They're grammatically correct, spelling's correct, and have someone look it over. I've read an essay before that said, my couch once gave me great advice, and they definitely meant their coach. So just have someone check that before you hit submit, because I would be really interested to see your couch if it was giving you advice. And then the other essay that we have is the one on our supplemental piece. So once you hit you're applying to Northwestern, a supplement will pop up. That's where you're going to indicate which school you're applying to, one of those 6 schools I mentioned, what major you're applying to. Again, undecided is perfectly fine. You don't have to pick a major. And answer the short essay question. The short essay is just asking why Northwestern, why are you interested in Northwestern? So take this time, maybe this session, maybe take the tour later to really reflect on why you're interested in Northwestern and pull from that. Check out our website. If you're younger and can visit when we're open again, you can definitely go ahead and talk about your visit. Just use this time to research so you can fill out that question effectively. And then finally, there's recommendation letters. So the recommendation letters are coming from a counselor and a core subject teacher. That's all we require. If you want to add more, you can. Just want to stress that quality over quantity is key here. So make sure you're really thinking through if you're going to add another application recommendation letter, because I read them, I read all of them, and I really prefer not to read 10 of them simply because they don't add to your application. They're not showing me more about you. They're usually detracting from the greatness that maybe one teacher said because another teacher is saying, I didn't know them very well. Or they're just kind of repeating the same thing over and over. You want to make sure that you really think through the quality of these letters. And again, quality over quantity is key there. So all that goes to say, when is this due? What's going on? Maybe you guys, I know you guys are asking about COVID-19 and how that's affecting our process. How does that all function right now? So before I talk about when it's all due, I just want to address that really quickly. We do have a blog post on our admissions blog about COVID-19 and our process, our application process moving forward. At this time, we're not making any changes to testing or how we review, because we've always reviewed with holistic admissions in mind. That means we've always reviewed with context in mind. We know that every high schooler right now is in a totally unprecedented moment in their lives. And that is okay. And that is something we will be very, very aware of. It's something that we will consider as we look at your grades, whether your school only did pass fail, whether you couldn't take certain courses, whether there were certain opportunities not available for you. So that's something that I promise we will consider. And then as far as testing goes at this moment, we're still asking for that ACT or SAT score. Again, I encourage you to read through the blog. This blog is from our director of admissions. So she is the person you want to hear from in this moment, most likely. And her thoughtful blog answer is, I think, really comforting in this moment right now. And so finally, all of that being said, there is still the same due date for our application, either early decision or regular decision rounds. Early decision is binding, that's due November 1st, and regular decision is the non-committal route due January 2nd. The only difference is the binding component. Binding means you will be enrolling if admitted. And so really quickly, I just want to cover then financial aid because I want to have time for your questions. I know right away we had a question about international financial aid, and that's something I want to address just immediately, because regardless if you're International, domestic, if you're admitted, we meet 100% of demonstrated need. Now, I do want to highlight that if you are an international applicant and you are applying for financial aid, we are need aware, so that is a factor during the application process. If you're a domestic student, which means you're a domestic citizen, we are need blind in that application process, so it is not a factor. But regardless, once you're admitted, we're going to cover your financial aid portion 100% of demonstrated need. And that means exactly what we calculate from the FAFSA and the CSS profile, the two forms we have you fill out, to be your financial aid package. That will take our total cost of attendance minus that family contribution we calculate to be your financial aid package. It will all have no loans in that package. And again, it'll meet 100% of your demonstrated need. Now, I want to take this time now to allow for Drew and I to answer your questions. But right before I dive in, again, I want to highlight, please check out the links that we've been dropping in this chat. Check out that blog. Keep dropping questions right now. We are trying to be as helpful as we can during this time, and we really appreciate you tuning in even. So let's start off with Drew. We have a question from Darius. He asked, if you attend the College of Arts and Sciences and find out that engineering is for you, how easy is it to switch to that school? Or in general, how easy is it to switch schools? So how easy is it to switch schools, you'd say?
That's a great question, Darius, and I would definitely say that you are not the first person to ask that question. It's the experience of a lot of students that they'll come, explore something that they were originally interested in, and either discover a new passion or discover that their original passion isn't that much of a passion. And so for your situation, for traveling from the school, the College of Arts and Sciences to the Mccormick School of Engineering and Applied Science, that is going to be a pretty simple process. All you would do is simply speak to your advisor, express the reasons for you wanting to switch, and then you would just simply fill out some paperwork. I've had the experience of some of my classmates who have decided to switch between schools or switch academic concentrations, and they've done so in one calendar day, where they fill out the paperwork in the morning, the office processes it, and you're a student in that school by end of day that same day. So it is really a simple process. It's merely just you talking to your advisor, kind of setting the groundwork for that, and then shifting over. And it'd be pretty similar as well for any of the other schools. So it's really nice knowing that those boundaries aren't necessarily there if you're looking to explore or switch to different schools in the school or in the university as a whole. Back to you, Jackie.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew. Okay, I'm going to knock out two quickly. Do a lot of undergraduates have minors from Cassie? Cassie, yes, or certificates or double majors. About 2/3 of our students have a second area of concentration. And then another one asked from Abigail, is there a combined music or biology degree? We have several combination degrees between music and the College of Arts and Sciences where biology is located. We also have a dual degree program that's 5 years. But you get degrees from both schools, and it's typically for programs like music and engineering, or music and communication, just so because it's more difficult to complete those in less than 5 years. Drew, I have a fun one for you. Yogi would like to know, can you tell me more about the comedy module?
Sure thing, Yogi. Very excited that we have any students that are interested in that. To preface it as well, I want to just make sure we understand that Northwestern excels in many different areas, but in my personal experience, one area that Northwestern excelled in that I was able to participate in was the performance community. So whether you're interested in performance for stage, for the screen, for music performance, whatever that may be, there's lots of different opportunities for that. The comedy module that I had mentioned is a specific area of study available for students in the School of Communication. It was a really great opportunity to take different coursework that related to writing and performing comedy, and then also being able to put together a portfolio that was reviewed and got some very helpful feedback on that. So you could kind of start the ground running if you were looking to do any work in that area. Would be happy to answer any additional questions on that as well. Just wanted to give a brief preview.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew. Rudy asked what is unique about our engineering program. I just want to quickly highlight that I think my favorite part and the kind of foundational piece of our engineering program is the philosophy of whole brain engineering. Whole brain engineering is how we approach engineering, which is essentially using both sides of your brain, the left and the right side, that analytical and creative side. So we teach you how to be a well-rounded full engineer through hands-on coursework, through client-based coursework in your first year, and through several sequence-based coursework that teach you how to do that. And I encourage you to check out the School of Engineering's website. They have a great video on whole brain engineering. Another question we have is, how would you describe Northwestern students using 3 words, Drew?
Ooh, that is a tough question because there's definitely a lot of words that would apply. For 3 words, Northwestern students, I would definitely say are passionate. I would also say that students are very curious as well, just in that so many students are willing to learn about things that maybe not pertain to their area of interest, so they're very curious. And then I would also say fun-loving, which is hyphenated, so it still counts as 1 word, but fun-loving as well, because Northwestern students definitely know how to put the work in when it's needed, but also know how to relax, provide some self-care, and connect with others. So those would be my 3 words. I'm interested to hear your answer as well, Jackie. I don't know if I stole any words from you, but what would be your take on that?
You did steal words. If I was going to answer, I mean, first comes to mind is curious, obviously. I just think there's a sense of curiosity that I look for even as an admissions director that can naturally come through in your application because you took a bunch of different classes. You tried a club and really dove in. So that for sure. I would also say engaged. They're involved, they care, they're about each other, and they're supportive. This community isn't cutthroat. It's more so about coming together and collaborating and really lifting each other up as we go through our 4 years and beyond. But I also want to address another question that's back to the application. Do we track demonstrated interest? We do keep track if you attend a session, whether it's on campus or virtually, or if you come to our high school visits, if we visit your high school, you attend a college fair. If you fill out a card that asks for your information, most likely that means we kept track of that event. But that doesn't mean to say you need to go and attend every single event we have or email your admissions director 20 times. It's really, again, about that quality over quantity here. We're just looking to see if students have engaged with us, but that's just to help you too. So you learn more about us and make sure you're making the right decision to apply. The best way to show demonstrated interest is to apply early decision. I know that's a big decision, so I'm glad you all are listening to this now to really learn more about the school and make that decision moving forward if early decision is for you. I know there's so many questions, but I do want to wrap this up. So I have probably 2 I want to end on. Drew, since you have entered a little bit more recently, did you find anything that surprised you about Northwestern when you came to campus or something you learned later?
Yes, I would definitely say that just to preface as well that I never felt like I always felt like I was learning something new, even in my final year of Northwestern, still meeting new people, still finding different communities. So it was never the sense of we're never not surprised. There was always something to be learned. I would say my initial surprise upon entering university and learning about everything is we have a very robust orientation program that was very helpful at instructing myself and all the other new students as to the opportunities that the university had and the resources that were available. And to me, there is just so much available that it was very surprising to kind of be hit with that amount of depth and that wide volume of how many different paths you could take. So something I was very surprised by was just the things that you hear about, but then once you actually place them to different locations on campus, once you start to meet people and see their engagements, it's really crazy to see what involvements there are and also how small the Northwestern community is because of it. We have, about 8,000 undergraduate students, but it seems like there's 6 degrees of separation between you and any student. through different organizations, through different connections and things like that. So I was very surprised at how engaged the student population was and how many different opportunities there were to engage.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew. So the last question I want to address before we log off is, what is our favorite unique Northwestern tradition? So I'll kick off by saying one that usually isn't mentioned actually, but if you go to Northwestern's tradition website, it says it first off. It is our alma mater hymn. So there's actually a song that our alma mater has, which is your university, when you're an alum, it's your alma mater. And so this hymn is a song that actually most students don't know, which I think is hilarious. And the only reason I know it is because of cheer. So when I was a cheerleader, you had to sing it after every basketball game. And so when I graduated, that's the next time you sing that song. And when I sang it, I was the only one who knew the words in my section. So I'm graduating, I'm leading the charge for the hymn, and I'm a terrible singer. So it's one of my favorite memories, but also one of the less known traditions of Northwestern. Drew, what's your favorite tradition?
Love that answer. Would definitely say it took me some time to learn the words of alma mater as well, but it's worthwhile. So would suggest students invest in that early and often. My choice would probably be a more popular student tradition that we have, which is one that's celebrated typically at the end of every school year. It's known as Dillo Day, which is short for Armadillo Day. And it's a music festival that one of our student groups puts on, and it's actually the largest student-run music festival in the entire country. And so I know it's just a very special part of so many students' experiences to be able to come together at the end of the year, typically right around the time that everyone's feeling the burn on studying and preparing for the final exams for the entire year. It's a really great way to celebrate and see different artists come to campus. There's a lot of great names that have performed in the past. Would recommend for anyone interested kind of looking into that and looking at the names that we've had here. And it's also just really great. We've had food trucks come out on our Lakeville area. It's up against the lake. And it's typically in the springtime when it's nice and sunny. So every day in Evanston, Illinois, we enjoy our weather here. And I would say, yeah, just a great tradition in that you're collecting yourself with friends and really just enjoying music. The food trucks that are there was a Ferris wheel last year, a lot of different photo ops as well. Just a lot of fun to be had on that day. It's a really great way to watch the campus kind of let loose and celebrate a lot of hard work across the year. So that's my fun tradition.
I also really like that tradition. So great answer. I think we both did good. I want to end by reminding you that you can subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and that way you can get notified of the tour that's coming up. Just like a normal session on campus, this would be your moment to get up, maybe take a bathroom break, get some water, and then join us for that tour that starts at 8. Hit that notification bell if you want to get notified when it starts. And we want to thank you for tuning in. I also want to thank Drew for being a great co-host tonight. So drop him a thank you in the chat. And I also want to make sure that you all are feeling as safe and well as you can be in these times. And we're thinking of you, and we really appreciate that you came out tonight to watch our session. And we hope that you were able to learn some more about Northwestern tonight. So thank you so much. Have a good night.